My name is Jim Cerruta. I'm the superintendent at Northern Burlington. And it gives me, does my heart good to walk through the room here this evening and meet some people that I haven't seen for quite some time. Brings back some fond memories. It's nice to see everybody smiling and laughing and just simply having a good time. I could tell you from my experience, this is going to be one of the more memorable evenings. I want to set your expectations that high. I want to thank Northern TV for being here tonight. I know they're going to be taping some stories that we're going to cherish. As we get started, I'd like to first ask, Northern Burlington serves the Joint Base McGuire-Dix-Lakehurst, the family's Joint Base active military. I'd like to take a moment and ask our active military, retired military, our first responders to please stand and be recognized so that we can simply say thank you for all that you do and have done. All right, don't want to miss that. Here's an idea. How about current Hall of Famers? Those of you who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, please stand and be recognized. I know that population is growing. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our board members here this evening. Angela Redding is here with her husband Brian and Jerry Spence. Please stand and be recognized. All three. We have our building principals, Dr. Lopez and Dr. Kearns, here this evening to enjoy the evening. Thank you. And I certainly have to recognize our business administrator, Mr. Richard Kaz, BA. For those of you who don't know, on March 13th, we passed a referendum for the high school facilities project. We're excited about that. And in the 8, 10, 12, 14 weeks that led up to that, I really got to know Mr. Kearns and, Dr. Kearns and Dr. Lopez and Mr. Kaz really, really well. We spent a lot of time together. So whenever I get a chance, I want to thank them as well. The Hall of Fame, this is the 11th annual Hall of Fame. For those of you who don't know, the first one was held in the middle school. We were outside the media center in the foyer there. It was a much smaller affair. But the Hall of Fame committee has stuck with it, worked hard, and each year it seems to get better and better. So would members of the Hall of Fame committee please stand and be recognized? Our Hall of Fame committee for the great work that you do. Come on, stand up. All right. 2 more and then I'm done. One I'm going to have fun with. Jim Humble's being recognized this evening for all that he's done in athletics, and there'll be a lot to be said about Jim Humble. But I just want you to know, for those of you who don't know, there is definitely a better half in that group there, and I see her as the Hall of Famer. Jane Humble, congratulations for your husband being recognized. I know who's behind in the end. So last but not least, a gentleman, a friend, a colleague, someone who's worked real hard on this evening and has changed the face of Northern Burlington through branding efforts. The NB that you see that we all wear proudly was a result of the athletic director's hard work every day and through the weekends. And I'm going to turn this over now to Dr. Dan Yazaki, our athletic director.
I'm going to try something. Is this better as far as sound goes? Just so you guys know, we did that on purpose. All right, so I want to start off by welcoming everyone to the 2018 Athletic Hall of Fame. Come on, guys, we can do better than that. Saturday night, there we go. All right. We are here to celebrate Northern's finest and Michele O'Neal. That was a good one, right? I'm kidding, of course. I love you, Michele, my devoted work wife, my loyal secretary. Let's give her a special round of applause, Miss O'Neill. If you do read the program, you will understand that is not a lie. Michele O'Neill literally does like 90% of this Athletic Hall of Fame. She's in charge of the seating. She's in charge of communicating with everyone. Without her, this dinner really just doesn't happen. Most importantly, she's in charge of dodging Old York when they try to collect the payment from us. So we love you, Michele, and good luck tonight. I want to just give a couple of thanks to some people. Also, I'll get to that. If you've been to the Athletic Hall of Fame in the past, like Dusty Archer, I think this is her 18th one, you'll hear the same message from me over and over again. Take a minute right now, turn off your cell phone, really pay attention tonight. If you're very important, turn off both of your cell phones. And if you're Jerry Spence, a cell phone is a mobile device that people use to talk to one another. In addition to thanking Michele, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank a couple people. Mr. Potts, yes, he still works at Northern Burlington. He's done the plaques for us. Katrina Gehrman, who is our photographer for tonight. Thank you. The floral department gave us all the flowers, and MBTV for showing up and keeping me censored for the evening. I appreciate that. I want to thank Mr. Lucas, who finally showed up. We were waiting for you. I want to thank him for writing all the biographies. Mr. Lucas does an excellent job every year writing the biographies. Tonight is a special night. You're going to learn a lot about NBC. You're going to hear some inspirational things. People have gotten up here, they've laughed, they have cried. They all love NBC. They share their fond memories, and I really do feel like I am the luckiest person in the world to be the athletic director at Northern Burlington. Without further ado, let's introduce our first presenters, Coach Brian Wolverton and Coach Ed Fitzpatrick for Carrie Lee Williams. You're going to have to muff it. It's like literally muff it. You'll know when it's clear.
So a little intimidating here. It's just a privilege to say a few words about Carrie Lee tonight. I'm going to start with a quote from the poet Robert Frost.
You're going to have to muff it.
Robert Frost said, "The afternoon knows what the morning never suspected." Carrie Lee knew in the morning that she would get the hit we needed in the afternoon. Carrie Lee knew in the morning that she would get the strikeout that we needed in the afternoon. Never have I coached a player who was more prepared to win than Carrie Lee. Carrie, congratulations on your induction tonight. And the last thing I will say is you still owe me homework.
You might be asking yourself why Kerry is the only Hall of Fame inductee that has two presenters. Kerry was actually eligible for the Hall of Fame 6 years ago and was nominated and accepted by the committee. And when I called her to ask her if it was okay for us to put her in the Hall of Fame, I think she used profanity, but she respectfully declined. At first I thought it was that she was being modest. So I called back again the next year, and the next year, and the next year. And then finally Kerry confided in me that the reason that she didn't want to be inducted into the Hall of Fame was because she couldn't get in front of this microphone and speak to you. So this year when she was again nominated, I promised her two things. One, that we would keep it short. Well, three things. Two, that we'd go first. And three, that she wouldn't have to speak. So at the end, Kerry is going to come up for a second, but that's why I'm speaking on her behalf. You're welcome, Kerry. Kerry's become a little bit of a mythical being at Northern Burlington softball. I've been around Northern softball for ever, it seems, like 23 years. And the legend of Carrie Lee grows every year. You read, as some of you, I'm sure if you haven't, the bio that Mr. Lucas did for Carrie kind of depicts the magical 2 weeks that she put together her senior year. Like it was yesterday, I can remember the last pitch that Kerry threw for me. It was a 1-0 game in the state finals, 2 outs, runner on second base, routine fly ball to right field, and I didn't even look at the ball at first. I just looked at Kerry, and I thought she hurt herself because she just went down on the ground and she was just covering her head. And at first I thought it was because she was worried that the ball wasn't going to be caught, and then I realized she was actually worried that Dusty was going to run someone over, nearly kill them, to make that last catch, which she did. But as you look through the bio and read the playoffs that Kerry put together her senior year, our opening round game against Hamilton, we win, it says with a walk-off home run. We didn't have a fence then, so it really wasn't a walk-off home run. But if you've ever been to our field, you know where the parking lot is. Kerry hit a ball that would have landed in the current parking lot. She was rounding third base before the right fielder got to the ball. That was in an extra inning game. About a week later, we're playing Burlington Township, as you read in the book, and this is where the legend of Kerry grows. It was a 19-inning, extra inning playoff game. And unbelievable. Mr. Lucas had 17 strikeouts. I think when I tell the story, it's up to like 25 strikeouts. But the one thing I will say, the competitor that Kerry was, and Fitz backed me up, there was never a doubt. There was never a doubt in our minds that we were just, with Kerry going on the mound, we would be there for 3 days and we were going to outlast them. She did have 17 strikeouts in the game, but what was most impressive for me, they had an all-state pitcher, a girl that had been on first-team all-state the previous year. She was a Division I kid who went to a full scholarship to a school down in Tennessee. Of those 17, she faced Kerry 6 times that day. Not only did Kerry out-pitch her in the game, Kerry struck her out 6 times. And I tell those stories, the girls on the team now who, and this is how old we are, Kerry, who were not alive when we won that state title. Sorry. I tell them the stories. One of the things one of my favorite stories, and some people will think it's silly, but we do off-season weight training, and one of the things that we do is we throw medicine balls. And one of the exercises, you get a medicine ball on the ground, you just 2 hands, and you just throw it straight up in the air. And I tell to this day, when we do it, I still remind the girls that Carrie Lee is the only athlete that I've ever seen throw the medicine ball in the gym and hit the ceiling. And that's not a story, that's the God's honest truth. Carrie, I gotta tell you, so much of who I am as a coach revolves around that magical 2 weeks that you were able to put together in 2002. And without you and your effort and your determination and your good humor and just the fun that you brought to the game, I wouldn't be the coach that I am today. I am so proud to bring up Carrie Lee.
All right, I just want to thank Coach and Fitz for speaking on my behalf, and the Hall of Fame committee for putting me in, and to my dad. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. He's amazing throughout my softball career, and that's it. Thank you.
Here, this is yours.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. Let's go. It's fine. Yeah.
One more time, ladies and gentlemen, Kerry Lee Williams, our first 2018 inductee. The next person we want to bring up is Coach Perello, and he's going to speak about Anthony Cali. Please welcome Coach Charlie Perello. muff it and literally eat it.
Thank you very much. Unlike the previous younger speaker, I'm going to have some notes and glasses as well. But let me start by offering my congratulations to Coach Wolverton, who just won recently his 200th game as our head softball coach in Northern Burlington. What an awesome accomplishment. And, you know, being here just makes me feel so good because it validates the power of sport and athletics. You know, athletics is the means of which sometimes it shapes lives and other times it changes lives. And just to see the people here that are being inducted, and the former inductees, and all the former Northern Burlington students who have grown through athletics and sport and are now husbands and great husbands and wives and great dads and moms. It's all a result of what we've tried to do as in Northern Burlington. Not just the athletics, but the teachers, the whole school community. So it just makes me feel good to know that I'm a small part of the athletic program at Northern Burlington and the changes that it's made in the young lives of those who have been a part of it. You know, at Northern Burlington, sometimes Christmas comes early. And it certainly did when this young man from Rochester, New York showed up at Northern Burlington in the middle school. And I don't know who was happier. I don't know if it was the football coaches, the basketball coaches, or the student body that certainly got to know Anthony. But after just having one or two conversations with him, it was pretty evident that indeed we were getting an early Christmas present at Northern Burlington. And of course, it wasn't a given that he was going to remain there. Anthony had a lot of options to go to a lot of different schools. And thank you, KC, for allowing Anthony to be a part of our Northern Burlington community. He could have gone to a lot of different schools, but they decided to stay at Northern, which is better than any private school in the area anyway. He wouldn't have done as well there. Anthony goes on. He plays, he starts as a freshman quarterback, leads the team in an undefeated season, and then goes on to set just about every passing record in school history. Selected All-League, All-County, All-South Jersey, All-State. He selected New Jersey 100 Super Team, and then he's captain of the New Jersey team that played in the Governor's Bowl. And of course, Anthony would be the first to readily give credit to his teammates, one of who's sitting right next to him, Sammy Peskin. And that makes me feel good to see that after 16 years, you guys are still together. I remember when Anthony was selecting his jersey number, he took number 12, and he said I should give Sam Peskin number 8. And I said, why should I give Sam 8? Is that his favorite jersey? He said, no, that's his 40 times, so give Sam number 8. So we did. But, you know, it's those kinds of relationships and friendships that are formed through sport that just make you feel good as a coach to see you guys sitting there together today. Anthony, by the way, is the only quarterback in history of Northern football to receive a full athletic scholarship to a major division program, and he went on to play at Rutgers University. His athleticism was also evident in the fact that he scored over 900 points in less than 3 years of varsity basketball. So Anthony was a complete athlete. And he went on to make a great impact on the Rutgers program as the program experienced unmatched success during his time there. He went to 2 consecutive bowl appearances. And I did reach out to your position coach at Rutgers, who is Joe Susan, who is now the head coach at Bucknell University. We had a long conversation, and first of all, we both agreed that you outkicked your coverage when you married Stacy. There was no doubt about that. And in terms of your tenure at Rutgers, he said you helped make history for Rutgers and described you as being positive, hardworking, selfless, accountable, mentally tough, and certainly no arguments there, Anthony. You know, and Anthony went to Rutgers as a quarterback. And when you're a quarterback, you're used to kind of being the center of attention and everything revolves around you. But that was never Anthony's case. Anthony was always the first to give credit to everybody else. And at Rutgers, he went on to do some amazing things there. And as I said, was part of helped bring the program to a new level. You know, Anthony, I can close my eyes and remember so many of the games you played, the plays that were made, the joy of watching you and your teammates play. But what I remember most is our continued relationship after you graduated. Dinners with your family, sitting with your mom and grandmom at the Rutgers games, Trip to U.S. Open at Bethpage. That was awesome. Being at your mom's house with other team members years later, watching our team highlight, being asked to read scripture at your wedding, the phone calls when Christian was born and later Cameron, and the shared videos of Christian yelling, go Rutgers, and making tackles in your basement, but most of all, the calls every Father's Day. There are players that you enjoy watching them play, players that you respect, and there are players that you love. I present to you a most deserving new member of our Athletic Hall of Fame, Anthony Cali.
Thank you, Coach. So it's pretty humbling to have the second best arm in here next to Kerry Lee, that's for sure. So congratulations, everybody, and thank you to Dr. Saruta and Dan and the Northern Burlington family. Northern is a very special place. It's certainly a village that raises young people in a very positive way. And the referendum, congratulations, that's a big win for you guys as well. I wouldn't be remiss if it wasn't for my beautiful wife, and yes, I did outkick my coverage, and undoubtedly she is taking credit for the athletic achievements I had 10 years prior to meeting her. My in-laws, my mother and my father, father-in-law, my mother-in-law, thank you for all the time, the investment, the stress that I've given everyone across the years, but I appreciate the love and support. My friend and teammate Sam. Sam was the 17-year-old Terrell Owens before Terrell Owens was Terrell Owens. He was, I think he famously jogged back to the huddle one time and asked me if he was invisible. Sam was always open and never on time. But thank you for being here and thank you for the support. My son Christian, buddy, it's very special to share this with you. And I just want you to know that you should pursue whatever you do in life with relentless tenacity and dedication, and you'll be just fine. You'll figure out what that means later. So Coach is right. I came from a booming metropolis known as Rochester, New York. And when my mom told me that I was going to move to New Jersey, I was like, all right, well, I wasn't happy about it. But New Jersey's kind of near New York City, right? I saw The Sopranos a couple times. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, there's a lot of great high school football there. I got here and I thought we made a wrong turn. It was Alabama. So it was not a thrilling ride to start for me. Down here, and yes, you know, we looked at some other places because no one told me that Northern Burlington had a football program. So that was one of the times that we started looking at other places. I actually played Pop Warner football my 8th grade year in Allentown. So whatever miscommunication was there, it happened. But then I met a guy. I was sitting on the curb outside the middle school, and I'll never forget it. And, you know, this short guy, shorter than me at the time, because in the 8th grade I was 6'2". Came and sat down, and he didn't ask me, you know, about anything other than myself. That gentleman was Coach Perello. And Coach Perello told me, in fact, that there was a football program. They did have a pretty good track record, some nice wins and some success, and, you know, actually players that went to college from Northern. So I said, okay, we'll give this guy a try and see what happens. His recruiting pitch was simple. Your offensive line's probably going to be smaller than you. Your receivers will probably run an 8-second 40. No, just kidding, Sam. But the relationship started from there. And the thing about it is, Coach Perello then would bring me out of class, and hopefully none of the administrators mind this, to meet these coaches from all these different colleges: Syracuse, Rutgers, Penn State, Wisconsin. I'm like, wow, this guy knows a lot of people. This is great. I was in the 8th grade, the middle school gym one day playing pickup basketball. I was dunking. Andy Talley from Villanova said, offered me a scholarship. He didn't even need to see me play football. This guy knows everybody. Then I found out there was a guy named Michael Haynes that played for Northern Burlington, which is why all these schools were here. But other than that, Coach Perello and I's relationship started from there. And from what I can tell, what I could tell from Coach Perello was he cared about people first. And as he mentioned, we still remain close to this day. I'm a firm believer in athletics can help shape individuals, and certainly athletics and sports gave me more than I ever gave it. And that's partly people, or wholly people like Coach Perello. We went on, and unceremoniously, Coach Perello retired after my senior year, but if anybody knows Coach, or any football coach for that matter, it doesn't usually last long. So he had a couple stops. He had a stop at Holy Cross, and he had a stop at Rumson Fairhaven. Went down to Florida for a little bit in between. I didn't know if he was looking for better locker room amenities or better country clubs, but he made it back to Northern. And we're all happy for that. because this is a place that we've all called home, including yourself, for, God, I don't even want to say how many years. But Coach, you've shaped my life. You're a father to me. You're a father to so many players that played for decades and decades before that. I can't thank you enough for making me a better person, a better man, a better father, a better husband. You've been everything that I could ever ask for in a mentor. And when I was at Rutgers, I did switch from positions because I thought I deserved a chance to start. Others did not. So I came back to Northern, and Northern was a place where I was going to go, all right, should I transfer to Villanova? Should I transfer to Delaware? What should I do? And he told me, he said, look, you're talented to do whatever you want, and life is about adversity and how you react to adversity. So, work hard and make your own plan and make your own change to what the plan was, or were you just going to lay down? So the plan was to gain 35 to 40 pounds and be a tight end. At Rutgers, I played 5 games on a broken foot my senior year, and that was it. But all the different life lessons that I learned through football and through athletics stuck with me to this day, and it's made me a better person. Coach, you're a father, you're a friend. You're not just a football coach, you never will be. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for this tremendous opportunity.
Anthony Cali, everybody. We're going to reach back all the way to the 1970s for this next person. We're going to bring back up Coach Perello, and he is going to be introducing our next inductee, Mr. Jimmy Humble.
Alright, this is scary because I go from 2001 back to 1969 when I first got at Northern Burlington. And thinking back on Jimmy Humble, it's like the tale of two people. One is a young man that was in high school, was a high school athlete who was a real character, and then a grown man who had great character, but still remaining a character. So those of us who know Jimmy understand how this makes sense. I arrived at Northern in 1969, and that's when I first met Jimmy Humble. And I got to admit, I thought I was ready to coach football, but I knew I found out real quickly I wasn't quite ready for Jimmy Humble. Just a quick story. At that time, we had this one huge team room, which was shared by both the players and the coaches. And so one of the very first days I'm in there, and I'm sitting in there, and the team is getting changed, get ready to leave. And of course, my stature and being just barely 22 years of age, I kind of blended in with the rest of the team. And I'm sitting there, and there was some, I know this is hard to believe that Jimmy was involved with this, but there was some very colorful language taking place in the fight. And finally, someone nudged someone else and said, there's a coach sitting there. So the next day, we did a little extra running. And that was my first involvement with Jimmy Humble as a player. And but let me tell you, Jimmy's speed is legendary. And I'm not making this up. I was just amazed. I just got done playing college football, and I'm here and I'm watching this man, looked like a man, running sprints. And there was just one back, or tailback, that could just barely beat Jimmy in the sprint. But Jimmy was, his speed is legendary. And I'll just tell you a quick story because Greg is having a conversation with some of his fellow teammates, and they're talking about their dads and how fast their dad was. And one guy said, "Oh, my dad is so fast he can turn the lights out, and turn off the lights, and by the time they go out, he's in bed." And the other guy goes, "Oh, my dad's faster than that. He can shoot an arrow at a target, and before the arrow gets there, he can stand at the target." And Craig goes, "My dad's got you all beat." He said, "My dad's so fast," he says, "he's the chief of police in Mansfield Township. The shift is over at 5, he's home at 2. So anyway, prior to 1969, 12 teams. But with the arrival of Hal Warren in Jimmy's class, Northern began to have a football program. And people like Larry Alice, Bobby Dyson, Charlie McIntyre, Randy Richardson, Dave Richardson, Paul Bruni, Ken Davis, I can name them all, Jim, I still remember. Taylor Bunting, they're among Jimmy's contemporaries. But I will say this, in my nearly 50 years association with Northern football program, it is my humble opinion that they were the finest collective group of linemen in the history of the program, period. They made a profound impact on and changed the culture of Northern football. And their leader of that offensive line and defensive line, the most vocal, the fastest, the toughest, the baddest of the bunch, was indeed Jimmy Humble. There's no doubt in my mind that Jimmy could have played at the next level. And if I had to make a comparison, you know, I got to coach a great kid that ended up being a first-round player out of Northern, Mike Haynes, who's legendary. And I'll tell you right now, Jimmy's step for step, toughness for toughness, block for block, tackle for tackle, he's right at that same level as Michael was. I saw a lot of Jimmy's true character in the relationship he had with the school administrator and later on school superintendent Eileen Sheedy. Jimmy might have been thought of as being somewhat uncontrollable during his years as a student, but in her presence, he was the kindest, most conscientious, most disciplined student in the building. It was an amazing transformation that took place whenever he was with her, and I do know Jimmy was truly grateful that she was in his life. And Jimmy went on, of course, to join the Mansfield Township Police Force, which at the time had 3 part-time officers in it. In just 2 years, rose to the position of chief. And there's plenty of stories I can tell about Jimmy as a police officer. I talked to many of his the people that he policed with, but it's a G-rated audience, so I can't do that. But when I think of Jimmy now, I think of the service he gave. Nothing is more selfless than to put your life on the line for your country, which he did serving in the U.S. Navy, and for his community, which he did as chief of police. And one of my proudest moments as a coach was when I got to coach Jimmy's son, Craig. It was my first father-son combination, and I just really enjoyed being part of the family once again. And so now I talk about, you know, players that end up being good moms and dads and husbands and fathers, and now I can talk about one of my former players that's also a great grandpa as well. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you, and it's long overdue, a new member of our Hall of Fame, Jimmy Humble.
I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for having this banquet tonight. I know that they put a lot into it, and it's a lot of time that looking back and trying to find all these statistics on players. But next I'd like to introduce my family. And I'd like to introduce my wife, Jane Humble. Our oldest son, Craig Humble, and his wife, Sarah. And our middle boy, Evan Humble, and his wife, Rebecca. And our youngest boy, John Humble, and his future bride in July, Kate Pagnotta. As a youngster, I always would like to attend the Northern Burlington game, but there were four players that always stood out to me, and that would be a guy named Robert Melton, Charles Van Marder, Johnny Litton, and Jimmy Jarrett. These guys were just amazing, and I always hoped that someday I could be come up there, and later on in life, I got to know them all, and they would come and watch me play on the team during the Burlington. But I would not be up here this evening if it weren't for the guys that the players that all went to practice every single day. There was the team. There was 5 or 6 guys who had to hold the dummies, had to hold, did everything. Almost like a maintenance person. But these guys, majority of these guys never got to play in a varsity game. Some of them played in a JV game, but without those guys, I certainly would not be up here this evening. I'm trying to take my hat off to these guys. Okay, and Burlington always had always produced good ball players. As you heard, Cali and several former students, players over here, Bobby Dyson, Austin, Art Gore on there. No, Brian, you weren't around. I have to say, I'm not here to say which was the best team Northern Burlington ever produced. I'm not saying that one bit. But I can say this with great pride, that the Delaware Valley League, out of 22 positions on the Delaware Valley League, Northern Burlington had 9 first-team players. And that's saying a lot for 9 players on a first-team roster. After high school, I went to the radio today. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the Navy very much. Around the world twice. And I still, to this day, have contacts with several of my shipmates. Also, I always liked U.S. history. That was my favorite in high school. I got a G, but I always liked it. But, anyhow, one of my favorite heroes was Douglas MacArthur. And Douglas MacArthur, at his last address at West Point, he said, old soldiers never die, they just fade away. And I believe that in football players. Old football players never die, they just fade away. Thank you very much.
Mr. James Humble, everybody. Ready to introduce our next 2018 inductee, Michael Shaw, will be presented by Raymond Shaw. Come on up, Raymond.
You'll tell when it's goodbye.
Hi, everybody. First of all, my father of 2 graduates and a grandfather of 2 children attending Northern Burlington right now. I'd like to thank the coaches, the teachers, the staff, administration for all the hard work they do. Thank you very much. Now on to Michael. A few highlights. He started his varsity all 4 years. He started varsity all 4 years thanks to Coach Daniels for giving him a chance. Boy, was he exciting and fun to watch. Having helped Northern to many winning seasons, a few highlights: he tied the single-season scoring record of 28 goals, had a career assist record of 28, and an amazing career goals record of 75. He loved playing for Northern Burlington, and I believe it laid the foundation for him to be recruited by Rutgers University, which is another story, and I don't have the time to talk about that. But I will say he was voted All-American in his 4 years, which was an amazing accomplishment. Now, this time, it is my great honor to introduce my son, Northern Burlington's Hall of Fame inductee, Michael Shaw.
Remind me to talk real close. Yeah. Come real close.
What's up, everybody? How we all doing?
Good.
How was dinner? Guess it wasn't good.
It was good.
I'm not going to speak long. I'm just happy to be up here, and I really appreciate what everybody did for me, coach-wise, school-wise, administration-wise, and everything. It's a great school to grow up in. I went to Rutgers, I feel good. Now I have a great family. I have a great fiance now. My mother and father put me through everything. My brother's over there, his wife. Ethan is now going to St. John's University with Dave Mazer, plays in Northern Burlington, which is awesome. So I want to thank everybody that's in this room right now that appreciates everything that we do. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Michael Shaw, everybody. Our next inductee, since we're on the topic of soccer, is going to be Coach Doug Daniels, presented by Derek Daniels.
I love speaking in front of everybody. First thing I like to do is just introduce my dad's family that's here, my mom, my wife, my brother David, my brother Devin, his wife, and my sister Dia, and her husband Adam, and my other sister Dara, and her husband. My son's here, and my other two brothers, or three brothers, they're not here tonight, but we just couldn't be more proud to be here tonight. I'm honored for this opportunity. When I found out that he was getting nominated, in the back of my head, I hope I'm the one that gets to put him in, to talk about him a little bit. And the more I thought about it, I went, I kind of deserve this. I've been playing Northern soccer since I was 6 years old. You know, I've pumped up more soccer balls than anybody has in Northern's history. I've fetched balls out of the ecology center more than anybody has in Northern's history. I've done more 3-mile runs in camp than anybody has. I've paid my dues for Northern soccer. My first job was for Northern soccer. I ran balls with Mikey for $5 Mr. Lucas hired me, and basically my job interview was, can you run? Can you throw the ball in? You're hired. And in about 4 months later, he paid us $5. So it was great. Even that, my dad looked at every season as an opportunity. He connected with players every year. That's the one thing about high school. Every couple of years, every 4 years, hopefully. Sometimes it takes longer. That you get new kids. But the connection he had with all those kids for all those years. We could be out to dinner. We could be at an auction. We could be anywhere, and someone's yelling across the room, "Coach, Mr. Daniels," whatever, and you might not remember all of their names, but they definitely remember him. They're always, it's never, you shortchanged me, it was never anything bad, it was always something positive. Old coaches, I coached at Pemberton for 6 or 7 years, and meeting old coaches that were at meetings, and they were like, "Oh, we can remember your name. We used to coach with a guy named Doug." And they would go through all this thing not knowing that that was my dad, and they would have nothing but good things for him to say, the way he conducted himself, what he was about. Even referees, even when I'm coaching, and there was a particular referee, his name was Al Barker, and my dad named him Gorgeous George because he had long hair, but that's time period because we would call him Ric Flair because he looked just like him. And I remember yelling across the field at him, just trying to get his attention, telling him that, maybe he missed something, and then walking over, and for sure I'm thinking we're gonna get carded. So he walks over to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and I said, well, just card me. He goes, well, no. He says, this is not how your dad would do it, so knock it off, or I'm gonna tell your father. I'm 30 years old, so I stopped and reeled it in. That's not what I was wanting to say. Besides Kerry, he showed that leadership, and every practice was something. When we walk out the gym, or at the locker rooms, there was a bulletin board on the right-hand side. Every day there was practice, and every day there was our itinerary up. Listed what we were going to do, so we knew ahead of time what miserable day we were going to have. How we were going to practice, what we were going to do, what time it was, to the minute. When we were going to get water, everything. It was planned out. He had a game plan for every game. We played 20-plus games a season. He knew how to change his ways. He took it seriously. It wasn't just some high school kids running around doing whatever they wanted. He cared for us, and now I get to say it as a player, because I did get to play for him for 2 years. He cared for each player that came through our program. The time that I remember the most, I was probably in eighth or ninth grade, and there was a car accident. We had to go to a funeral, and I just remember standing there, and all these players kept coming back and forth to him. They would go out and they would come back in and talk to him, and he just took the time. We were there for hours, for the entire service, just talking to each individual kid. He just took the time, and if you needed help, he talked to you. If you had a question, he'd answer it. It wasn't about soccer anymore. It was about that relationship that you built. He knew soccer. He knew the game. He knew how to play it. But he knew how to get the most out of somebody. He knew how to teach you about life. Soccer was what he was there for, but it wasn't what he was meant to do there. He thought you were responsible for your actions. I can remember we were in a state playoff game, and one of our main assist guys got a detention. The rule was, you get a detention, you don't play. So now we're in a state tournament game, and we don't have one of our leading assist players playing. It didn't matter who you were, the standard was set. He was above the realm when he coached. He was above reproach. You couldn't question his ethics, what we were going to do. We weren't, if we were getting beat, we were going to get beat. Fair and square. We weren't cheating, we weren't being dirty. We just got beat. Luckily, towards the end, it wasn't that much. There isn't somebody in my mind that deserves the Hall of Fame more than this. His impact for good was infinite. It was to the parents. I mean, there's still parents that he sees that he has their kids for 2 or 3 years, and they still shake his hand and thank him for what he did. There's parents, there's kids, there's coaches, there's referees, there's co-workers. We ran into a bus driver, that drove for his games, that still shook his hand because he took the time to talk to him, to find out information about him, still remembered his name. All that goes unmatched. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Daniels, or Coach D. For a while there in the 80s, it was Dougie Fresh. And of course, Dad. Duck Angels.
I don't know who that guy was. I don't know who this guy is either. This guy with a perfect mustache, and I'm not sure who that is. Yes, Charlie, I'm putting my glasses on too. Good evening. I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight, especially thank the Hall of Fame for allowing me the honor to be included with other such fine coaches. In my time coaching at NBC, two men greatly influenced the program. The first one I'd like to thank is Jack Lucas, who as athletic director supported and helped grow the program. He was always an encouragement to me. The other is Joe Griner, who was my assistant coach during all the years that I was head coach. Joe is a great man of integrity who always gave his all. He could also be stubborn about any issue and talk to you forever about it. He cared deeply for his athletes. He coached and cared for me and for my family, and he was of infinite value to the program, to the students, and a great friend of mine. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for all his help in all my life, and for giving me my wife Diane of 43 years. I am a blessed man. All the coaches that are gathered here tonight will tell you of the sacrifice of time and energy a sports season takes and how it directly impacts your family. I'd like to thank Diane publicly for her love, patience, and support during all those seasons. My children are here tonight, and I'm honored by their presence along with their spouses. I'm especially blessed by their love. I am thankful for the 13 grandchildren they have given me, and I am impressed with the way that they parent and love my grandchildren. My son Doug Jr. is not here tonight as he received an award as an EMT at another banquet. As you heard from Derek tonight, I had the pleasure of coaching him on the varsity level, and then I ended my coaching career. I'm going to take a sidebar here and tell a story real quickly as to why I quit. We're playing Burlington tonight, and we're playing the game, and Joe Griner says to me, "Your wife's in the stands, Diane's in the stands, and she's doing this." He goes, "What does that mean?" And I go, "Don't ask." See, at the time, Derek was a sophomore, and he was on the bench. And all of a sudden, I look up there, and she's going, "Put the boy in the game. Put the boy in the game." I knew he could make it without me, so that was my last year coaching high school boys. 6 years later, Jack Lucas came to me again and told me the varsity girls team needed a coach. And since my daughter Dara was a senior, would I unretire? I did this and enjoyed coaching the girls for a year, and then I did what I needed to do. I retired again. 7 years later, Jack came to me again, boy, Jack, you're persistent, and said that my son David was on the middle school team and they needed a coach. Coaching on the middle school level was a truly unique experience, one which I mostly enjoyed. But then it was time to retire for the last time. So I've been blessed to have coached 3 of my children, and also in class, they would coach, also to teach 5 of my children. They say you never forget your first coaching experience. I remember I was coaching JV at Maple Shade in a scrimmage. I was 23 years old. It was my first game. I was excited. The varsity was home because back then soccer was a minor sport and we had one field. I had a freshman who was from a military family named Will Sistrom. And in the game, he suffered a compound fracture of his leg. As I went out to him, all I kept saying over and over again, "Sir, it hurts, sir. Sir, it hurts, sir." My only memory of that day was that young man's pain. And coaching was a lot harder I never thought it would be. My first 3 years, I was the JV coach, and then became the varsity coach. We won very few games the first few years. I have a great respect for those players. They gave everything they had, but they were unable to overcome the experience of the other teams. They never gave up. They always worked hard in practice and dealt with being part of a losing team. They handled it very well, very, very well, but not quite all the time. I had one player named Frank Walker, who was my goalie, and we had lost to Palmyra 9-0. And Palmyra actually played Frank had actually played a very good game, considering they had some 50 shots against them. But they're shaking hands in front of us. And as they're shaking hands, Frank said something friendly, I'm sure, to their goalie. And before I knew it, they were fighting right in front of me. So I reached out and grabbed the first player I could, which happened to be the Palmyra player. And as I pinned his arms behind him, he fought against me, and we fell to the ground. He fell on top of me. So I'm holding him down on the ground with his arms pinned behind him. The Palmyra coach did not move. Frank took the opportunity to plummet this poor boy over and over again. I remember finally realizing what was going on. I rolled the young man over, got the team together, and walked to the bus. As we walked to the bus, Frank put his arm around me. He said, "Coach, you and me, what a team."
That's awesome.
Those years were challenging, and keeping the program alive may have been my greatest achievement. Again, I look back and I see some captains out here that were there during that time. I'm so proud of them for their commitment to the program. Over the years, the town improved, the program developed, and we began to win. Win became the norm. I've had some great players, too many to mention. The Hall of Fame has honored 2 of them. Last year, Joe Lynch was inducted into the Hall, and he was truly the best all-around player I've ever coached. Then this year, the Hall has inducted Mike Shaw into the Hall, and he was the best offensive player I ever coached. I remember so many memorable games and memorable seasons, but I remember the players the most. I have had so many great captains who were great leaders. My favorite players were not always the most talented, but the ones who had character, special personalities, and cared about their teammates. I used to tell my students in my history class that my definition of history is simply that history is the story of people. My history of Northern soccer is full of so many great stories of these young men and women that I will never forget. Thank you for the privilege to have been their coach. Thank you very much. May God bless you all.
Los Angeles, everybody. Reaching back to 1980, we're going to be inducting Michele Larner O'Neill, presented by Mr. Jack Lucas. Come on.
All right, good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to congratulate all the inductees and also welcome former inductees and all parents, family, friends of Northern Burlington. Before I begin, I just have a few comments to make. Kerry, you were talking about, and everybody, you got the biggest laugh of the night, first of all. You were talking about $5 and everybody thought that was funny. Your dad being a history guy has to know something about economics. If you had stayed on, Dan's paying, Dr. Uzaki's paying about $30 for everyone's now. And every year, I don't know what it is, Dan, you seem to like to take these little jabs at me. And, first of all, I do admit I was late.
And I was earlier than I expected, but my wife was earlier than I really anticipated. But I tell you, every time you send me these emails, as far as the program and everything, I don't know how to get that little arrow to come down to read what you said. So I'm always ready back. So that's a problem. And you talk about editing, you had no problem with Coach Wolverton when you put that with his induction into the South Jersey Coaches Hall of Fame, copying that thing verbatim. That's true. Oh, you're smart. Right, one other thing. Ed Fitzpatrick up here quoting Robert Frost. Where's Fitz? Is he there? Yes, I was coming along. Okay. Quoting Robert Frost, and the only thing I know, 2 roads and wood converted, something like that. Brian knows about that stuff, and he takes the Dr. Bearer approach. When you get to the fork in the road, take it. Oh, God. What do you have to put up with? When Michele asked me to present her tonight, with her induction into the Northern Burlington Athletic Hall of Fame, I immediately said yes, and that it would be a pleasure. If I had time to think it over, I would have said no. Are you kidding me? And I would have said no, not because I would not be honored, but because to enumerate the impact that Michele had on Northern athletics and the Northern community, be a long list indeed. Professionally, she made the athletic office home. She knew how to ignore when my wrist watch band was up around my elbow. She understood my short temper, but she always kept an even keel, and everything worked out. Let me cue you on some of the myriad duties that she performed without complaint and with excellence. First of all, she set the tone in the athletic office. There was not a day that went by without coaches stopping in, not only to answer or ask questions, but also just to check. Not with me, but with her. And she had a record going for Mr. Trombone, because between every period, Mr. Trombone, please report to the athletic office. Oh, yeah, be quiet, that's all.
All innocent.
You? This does not include the number of students that just stopped in to say hi. She was the liaison between the athletic operation and the community. She even told real white lies by saying I was out of the office when a disgruntled parent was on the phone complaining about his or her daughter's playing time or what the weather conditions were, are we going to play the game. When I first started as athletic director, and the use of the computer was not part of our, really it wasn't a word in the office, and it was not part of our routine. But in the late 1990s, the computer brought tremendous changes to the athletic office. Michele got me through this long and arduous period, and I depended on her to take care of it, which she always did. Michele went to classes, she went to conferences to learn how to adapt to the changing environment. The skills needed went from scheduling to budgeting to just about everything. Michele oversaw student athletic packages. Again, she was the liaison between the coach, who always claimed that the packet was turned in because the student said it was. But she was the liaison between the student, the school nurse, the athletic trainer, the team doctor, and parent. You wouldn't believe the abuse she had to endure when parents called in. Well, he had a physical. The physical was turned in. Well, lo and behold, Michele called the student, and the student had it in his locker. So it was a lot of grief that she had to take. She was my proof checker on athletic eligibility. Never during my tenure was an error made. She always, this also includes when she had to check on students from overseas, Department of Defense schools in Germany or Italy or England for military transports, or for the exchange students who wanted to participate. Due to the time changes, this really played havoc. She would have to come in early, and she would have to stay late or come back and make phone calls to these places because of the time differences. She had to go through the base commander's office because people weren't responding, but we needed these transcripts and everything. And she would also come in on Sundays. She would come in on weeknights. She'd come back to work after going home for dinner. She'd come back to work and do what had to be done. And I just can't tell you how appreciative of I am for all she has done. She also worked extremely closely with game officials, verifying assignments. There was nothing to an athletic director more embarrassing than to have both teams there, parents, spectators at your game site, and the officials don't show up. I mean, it's awful. You catch a lot of crap because of that. You know, they don't have anybody else to complain to. You've called, you've made everything you've done, and somehow it gets messed up. But she was always there for that. That was a pretty big job. She had to verify all 3 high school levels for sports, as well as the junior high school. This does not include the 7th and 8th grade athletic directors from opposing schools who had to be contacted regarding game schedules. And don't forget scheduling and transportation issues. Is the bus gone or is the bus not gone? It was a tough job. In addition, she had to deal with budgeting, reconditioning equipment, facility usage, and one of her biggest nemesis, for those of you who remember, Bruce Marchitello. So that was a chore. Folks, you didn't come here to hear me go on and on, but in the short time I have left, I want to say that Michele had the unique ability to make proper decisions. Example, it's 2:20 in the afternoon. School gets over at, say, 2:30. There's a fight in the cafeteria, and I have to go down there. It's raining. Officials are calling, ADs are calling, transportation's calling, and parents are on the line wanting to know, is the game going to be played? What's the story on the game? To respond takes experience and it takes patience, and she had it all. For all of this, in 2011, she was selected as the athletic director, secretary of the year by the athletic directors in the NJSIAA, the first ever selection. You heard all the great things that I said about Michele, but if you review her life, you'll find she can be fraudulent. She has fraudulent tendencies. As I am sure her daughter Brielle those of you who are Facebook followers and will know frequently that she puts recipes online. Those of you who know or realize what I'm about to say is true. She's never cooked a day in her life. The food presentations you see on those things, she just takes pictures of them and puts them on there. Mrs. O, thank you for all you have done for Northern Athletics. You have been dedicated, professional, loyal, and a pain, a time, and a touch. But most of all, you are my friend, someone I respect and admire, and a great person who made my experience in Northern a place to call home. It is my honor to introduce who my wife calls my wife away from home, and is 2018 Hall of Fame inductee. This is Michele O'Neal.
everyone. I really appreciate this honor. I never, ever expected it to happen. I'm sorry, in the beginning, Dr. Uzaki said to turn off your phone, and if you're important, turn off your second phone. I did most of them. I still had to bring some up to do. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm not going to cry. I'd like to thank, again, everyone. No, you're right. I'd like to thank everyone for this honor. The committee that I work with, what an amazing group of people. I'd like to thank Jack Lucas, Chris Haynes, now Dan Uzaki for putting up with me. Short story about Mr. Lucas. He was such a wonderful boss. Every Monday, flowers would show up on my desk. Every single Monday, I had flowers on my desk from our floral design program. And every Friday, he took them home to his wife.
Bring it apart,
He also called me up one time when Betty was in Italy and said, "Hey, I promised Betty that I'd clean the bathroom before she got home. Can you help me out?" And I said, "Let me check with Brian and I'll get right back to you." I also would like to thank my friends that are here tonight. Yes, I'm going to cry. Sandy, what's your last name? My dear friend from Chicago. They registered her to come tonight under a fictitious name so that I would know about it. And my friend Bonnie, the two of us are celebrating 50 years of friendship this year. She's part of the softball team that's being inducted. She and I also have 50 years of history. I just started my 33rd year at Northern Burlington. Actually, add 6 to that because I was a student. But when I left, I worked in the medical field, and the phone rang at work, and it was Jack, not asking me, but begging me to come back to Northern Burlington because he had gone through 6 secretaries in the 5 years that I was gone. Years ago, our work orders for any of the custodial requests were all handwritten on paper. And when I went to his outbox, there was one who was when I was expecting my daughter Brielle. And it says, "Please move Mrs. O'Neill's desk to the closest lavatory because that's where she's been spending all of her time." But truly, this is such an honor. My sister is here tonight, my sister Lorraine, my nephew Paul, his wife Joanne, and my niece Megan, and my friends from home. My mom is here, Carolyn Coulter. I'm her adopted daughter. And mostly, my daughter Brielle. No. Love you, Mom. She has made my life the past few years everything that it's been. I'm just so proud of her. I often say they gave me the wrong kid in the hospital. She is just an amazing daughter, and God has truly blessed me with her. Jack and Betty, thank you for everything you've done. There's not a holiday that goes by that Jack doesn't call me and wish me a happy holiday to this day. So congratulations to all the inductees this year. It's a privilege for me to be brought in with you guys. And have a great night. Thank you.
Michele O'Neill, everybody. All right, we're rounding the edge here. We have our last inducted group. Every year we find a special team and we induct them. This year we chose the 1980 softball team, which is the NJSIA South Jersey Group 2 finalists. So tonight, please welcome Coach Donna Stout. She's going to be presenting the 1980 softball team. Come on up, Coach.
Welcome, everyone. We appreciate your attendance tonight. We thank the committee who put all this hard work into this great Hall of Fame and all the success. Thank you for being here to honor the athletes and the coach. I wanted to talk about softball, about the class of 1980 softball. We started softball at Northern in the year 1970-71, so we've been around for a long time. The girls on the softball team knew what winning was. Winning is the desire to excel and the fortitude to give whatever it takes to get the job done. The ideals we shared, the attitude we expressed, the sportsmanship we develop together, and the team spirit we show are more important than any aspect of the game. It takes a total personality to compete and to win. I am so excited now to introduce the 1980 women's varsity softball team. As I was writing my speech, I got thinking about the girls and looking at the old pictures, and I realized it's been 38 years since these girls played together.
We're not 38 yet. I don't know how that's possible.
38 years ago that they played together. I'd like to introduce the team members. Our pitcher was Angie Dennis. She's unable to be here tonight. Our catcher was Connie Johnson. She's unable to be here tonight. Our first baseman was Anna Rogers. She's unable to be here tonight. Our second baseman was able to turn the double play quite well, Tammy Reed. Would you step forward? Our third baseman, who had a good arm and can make it to first base without any problem, Terry Dick. Our shortstop, who we were talking about had blue on her glove, was able to catch that ball at shortstop and move from right to left very quickly, and that was Sherry Albright. Outfielders were number 1, Cheryl Stevenson in left field, and also, there you go, and she also was our backup pitcher. Cheryl continued on her senior year and became number 1 pitcher in the South Jersey, and she was able to take us to the state finals once again, so we've been there twice. Center field was Sharon Pica. She did it well. Our right fielder was Janice Lally. Our backup third baseman who was unable to be here tonight, she had broken her leg the first part of the season. Her name was Lisa Cuccinata, not here tonight. Our backup catcher and general player anywhere I needed her was Kim Engling. And last but not least, our manager. Yes, Jack said some wonderful things about Michele, but you don't know Michele. Like I'm not going to tell any secrets, Michele, but there was a secret about the cooler that I didn't know until many, many years later. Michele also was our scorekeeper, and I could always count on her to do a wonderful job with the scorebook so I could tell who was going to hit the ball where from the opposing team. And she did a great job so I could keep records for the girls. Our JV coach during the 1980s was Diane O'Malley. The first girls softball team since the team had started back in the 70s that made it to the state finals. They were the very first overall record of the season, the best overall record of the season. They were 19-2. Burlington County's Classic League Freedom Division champs, 14-1. South Jersey, Central Jersey Group 2 champions. That means they beat all the teams in South Jersey and all the teams in Central Jersey to become the championships. Why did this team have such great success? They had the proper chemistry together. And they still do, as I noticed tonight. They worked and played hard. They played with focus. They were confident, but not cocky. They played with heart and good sportsmanship, which they grew each year and each game, as some teams are unable to do that we played against. Had a closeness as a team, and I noticed tonight when we were outside getting our picture taken, there was a closeness with the team and still was, and they were telling some of the crazy stories of what they used to do back when they played in 1980. I always told them to play your best and the outcome of the game would take care of itself. I can't think of any group who deserves the award of success more than this team of women. All of you are proof that dreams and possibilities are endless when you believe in yourself. It couldn't have happened to a nicer group of women. Congratulations, and is there anyone who'd like to say anything right now? Okay.
You know, Donna, we had a great coach, and without you, we wouldn't have made it as far as we did. And we're a group of girls who are called the Country Girls. We were all from Chesterfield, Mansfield, Columbus, Springfield, and North Hanover, I believe Lisa was from. We had great support from our parents. We had the Rogers came to every game. Charles Stevenson's parents came to every game. All of our other parents came, and you know, we really worked together. We enjoyed spending time together too before the season started, and you know, we were just a bunch of country girls, and we had a great time. It was a great season. It was very disappointing to lose at Burlington County Park. We all really wanted to win, but we were glad that the other teams after us continued to persevere, and finally, I guess in the 90s, they did win the state championship, which was 2002, which was awesome. But we were just very proud to play together, and you know, we had a great time. But we had a great coach too.
Thank you. I'm very delighted about your success. You all truly earned this award. You deserve a big round of applause for all of your achievement. Thank you.
The 1980 softball team, everyone. Let's just give one more big round of applause for all of our 2018 inductees. As loud as you can, let them know that they were loved tonight. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this committee works very hard. If for some reason you're out here tonight and you thought, you know what, this person should have been inducted, I wonder if this person's in, please contact Ms. O'Neill in the athletic office. She promised me she's still coming to work on Monday after this ceremony. We would like, we start gathering our applications starting next week. That's literally how long we take to plan this. So we hope everyone had a great time. Thank you for coming out tonight, everybody.